And it's my pleasure to introduce Susan Quinn. She has been in private practice. She's MFT, and she's been in private practice in Brentwood and Beverly Hills for over 23 years, or about 23 years, I guess. She specializes in using somatic therapies to treat trauma and relationships at risk. She has been certified in EMDR since 1993 and combines it with EFT, which is Emotional Freedom Techniques, and NLP, which is Neuro-Linguistic Programming, to help clients release the effects of trauma and to reprogram their thinking to create optimal results. Her information and her card is on the table, and she does have to leave right at 1:30, so I don't know if you want to, if you have questions, if you want to end a little early. Her website is www.susanquinn.net. And without further ado, thank you so much. And
Hi everybody, I'm glad to see so many people here. It's really exciting. This is such a, I think it's such an exciting subject because ever since I was licensed, I just got the EMDR training, and so I just started doing trauma therapy, and I didn't really know what it would be, but it's actually, it just gets more and more fascinating to me. And so I started learning other therapies that are like that, just to see what they all had in common. And I learned the EFT tapping. How many people know what EFT is? Tapping, emotional freedom technique. So we're going to do a little exercise with that today. I want you to see how easy and effective it is. You can do it with yourself, you can do it with other people, with clients. How many people know what EMDR is? Pretty much everybody, almost, yeah. Stands for eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing. So what you're doing is you're going into a trauma and you're desensitizing, you're pulling all the charge off, and then it reprocesses through the body. And also I've done a little, I don't know SE, somatic experiencing, but I've done a year of it. I mean, I'm not an SCP, I'm not a practitioner. And I've had some sensory motor classes from Pat Ogden's group. So there are certain things that they all have in common. And all the somatic therapies, for one thing, they're all bottom up. And so I'm going to show you about how the brain is arranged. I'm going to finish this in just a minute, but we're going to come back to that. The somatic therapies are bottom up. So I'll tell you what that means in a minute. But the reason they have these certain characteristics is because the way that trauma is held in the brain. And we can see that from fMRIs, that trauma is held in the right brain, and it's more specifically it's held in the amygdala part of the brain. And these therapies focus on that part. Let's see. Okay. And this is what Dan Siegel is talking about in all of his books, is the three parts of the brain and how we want to integrate them. The integrated brain can work. If it's not integrated, it doesn't work. And the way it gets unintegrated, actually, which is not a word, but the problem with not being integrated has to do with the three parts of the brain. And I'll just tell you what they are now. So, let's see. There's a thing called the triune brain, meaning it's we have three brains stacked up on top of each other. And Paul MacLean developed this model. And it's talking about the first brain that ever, way back in the caveman days, we had the reptilian brain. And we only had reptiles then, actually. So when you think about it's the first brain, it's the lowest brain. I'm going to show you a picture, a hand model in a minute. But it's the lowest brain, it's the first brain. And it was when we had reptiles. So reptiles, all the reptiles can do is fight or flight. They just have a survival, and that's all they know, because that's what their brain can do. And so the next level up is called, the second brain here, is called the limbic system. Limbic system. Okay, and that is the feeling brain, the emotional brain. So that's when, it's also called the mammal brain, the mammalic brain. So when mammals came in, we had the limbic system. Because mammals can attach, we can feel. And it's a feeling part of the brain. And it's also the attachment part. So when you think about a dog or a cat, that's a mammal, and they can attach. So we've gone from just fight or flight, survival, to attachment, to emotions. Okay. And in the limbic system is the amygdala, which is what we're really working with. I'm going to write that down. Amygdala. Okay. That's the amygdala. And then above that is the cerebral cortex. So this is the part where we think and we have language. This is the third brain. Okay. This is what we think with, what we talk with, and what we plan with. So Dan Siegel has developed a hand model to explain the brain because he thinks it's really useful for, and I do too. I teach my clients this the first time they come in because that also, it calms them down when they can see what's happening and they can see why and what we're doing and that it's just normal to get overly reactive. Then it just takes a lot of shame off. So this is the hand model. So the bottom part, this is the brainstem, the lower part right here. And it comes up here. It's like a golf club. And then here it just spreads out like a wood driver. So this is the reptilian brain. And this is the survival brain. It has all the drives in it and instincts and your ability to run away from danger or to fight. And so then after that was developed the limbic system in here. This goes over it and around it. And like I said, this is the feeling and attachment. And it has the amygdala. So here's the amygdala. The amygdala is always scanning for danger, even when you're asleep. So day and night, 24/7, it's going. And most of the time, it's overstimulated in a lot of people. So it's going like this. And so what we have to do is calm it down. We have to calm it down with these somatic therapies. And when you calm it down, it folds in here, and it's fine, and then the cortex can come over it, and the cortex can actually communicate with this, and this communicates with this, so that everything is in line. But when this is overstimulated, Dan Siegel says it's like we blow our top. So the cortex comes offline, and this is just going. And it's like, sometimes people will say, well, I know I'm safe right now, but I'm scared all the time, and my body's shaking. So we have to address these before we can get to this part that knows the road. So this is why the somatic therapies are called bottom up. We start with the more primitive, the more scared part of the brain, and then we come up to the cortex. Cognitive therapies would talk more about the cortex. They would say, well, you know that you have more of a chance of getting hit by lightning than having a plane crash. So they would talk to this part. Well, we believe that you have to deal with these two parts first before we can get this part online. So that's what all the somatic therapies do. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, so any questions so far about that? Or any? Okay. So the things that the somatic therapies have in common are, so we're focusing on the body. It's all about body. It's about body memories, which are down here, and feelings. And so like Pat Ogden says, she says, I don't even listen to somebody when they're talking because she's always looking for what's going on in the body. So what we do to deal with the somatic part is we focus on the body. And the first thing that we do is just a very simple thing of grounding. And you can all do this because you're sitting here with me. And just feel your feet on the floor. Feel both your feet, that's right. I just ask people to just imagine their two middle toes, they're just pressing into the ground and just pressing in, sort of like a claw. So you're really grabbing onto the ground or your shoe or whatever is down there. And this will ground you. And then I ask them to go back and forth. So just imagine, just press your right toe and your left toe, big toe, and your right toe and your left toe down, right toe and your left. And this also grounds you, and this calms the amygdala. This is actually what we do in EMDR. We go back and forth, while we're focusing on the feeling, scary feeling, whatever it is. So I have people just start doing this, and it gets them really feeling safe, feeling in the room. And so the next thing that we would do would be to get the person to go into the feeling. Because people like to talk about the feeling that happened, back there, but they don't want to go into it. And the more we avoid something, of course, the bigger it gets. And bigger it gets, the more we avoid it. So we want to teach people how to gently go into the body where the feeling is held. So we have to teach people a lot about their feet like this, and then breathing. So we have them breathe, take a breath in, and then you take a breath out like you're blowing in a straw. And that brings in the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the calming part. So they have them breathe in fast and then out slow. And you do that one more time. And they're already calmed down, and they're in their body. So part of it is breathing, part of it is going back and forth. It's motion, back and forth motion. In somatic experiencing, Peter Levine's work, one of the back and forth things he does, he calls it titration or pendulation. So what he does is he'll have a person feel in their body where the problem is. Like, I'm scared. So just kind of imagine you draw an outline around it so you know where it is. And then put your hands on it. Just feel into it. And I would be doing this myself. And so that in itself is calming them down. And we just say, let it be okay for it to be there for a moment. And then the fact that I'm doing this, their mirror neurons will see me and they will see that I'm calm and I'm doing it. So that just gets us started. So we're in the feeling. And what Peter Levine's training does is you have an outline around this feeling, you know where it is. So you scan your body and you would find a place in your body that doesn't have that feeling, that has an opposite feeling. So maybe that's your toe. Let's say it's your toe. So he would have you go right to the edge of the outline of this part, and go right to your toe. Back to this, back to your toe. Go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that's that pendulation. And it'll bring this anxiety down from like a 10 to all the way down if you do it long enough. So when it's down, when you've got it down, then your whole brain can work together. And then you can also desensitize it. You can then, it's already calmed down, but you can really desensitize it if you go in and do the EMDR part. Or if you do the tapping. Or if you just keep talking about it. Or you could have them, another interesting thing is about memory. I didn't realize this till I started studying the brain more. We really don't have any explicit memories until we're about 4 or 5. So what that means is that we only have implicit memories. And implicit memories are what the amygdala is collecting when it's scanning like this. So what they are is they're just body memories. So when somebody's feeling afraid and they can't think of anything to go with it, any association, it's probably a really early memory. So again, that brings in the somatic work, because we have to work down in here with emotion and the sensation because they're not likely to have a memory of it, a conscious memory. So if you think about, the way to think about these two kinds of memory would be one, like if you think of a time in the last couple of weeks when you had a good experience, just let your mind just kind of drift to a pleasant experience that you had in the last couple of weeks. Okay. So everybody have one? Mm-hmm. Okay. So now your explicit memory would be, you would tell me, well, I met my husband for dinner, and then we went out for a walk, and then we came home. So that would be the explicit memory of it, the narrative. But every memory has an implicit part, which is the unconscious part. So when you thought back to that experience a couple of weeks ago, what feelings did you get in your body? Did your body start to spread out or kind of lean forward, or did it close up? So when you get a good feeling, you're going to get an expanded feeling, you're going to feel happy, you're going to feel safe. You're going to feel safe. And the amygdala is always trying to just storing all these experiences. Was this safe? Was that safe? Was that safe? Was that safe? So the amygdala either feels safe or it feels detached and cold, or it feels confusing. So when you think about it, for the first like 5 years, you're only having these body memories. And if you've had a lot of these negative, scary memories, then you filter everything through that. You filter your vision of the world. But you're going to think, well, the world is a scary place. You know, it's not safe. So the only thing we can do is go back in and feel these feelings, and we can only talk about them as feelings if they're just implicit memory. So I want to talk more about, I want to give you more of an experience of making these feelings process in your body. So I'm going to do a little EFT tapping thing that we can all do together. How many people know what EFT is now? Okay, so if you want to do it, you can, or if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. But this is a thing where you can actually get rid of a feeling you don't like. Yeah. That's right. A lot of people know how to do that. I can see. So let's just see how this works. So I usually end up doing EFT. I'll start out with some of this stuff like we did before. You know, let's hold that feeling. Let's make it okay. How is it now? The pendulation and maybe the EMDR, the eye movement stuff until it goes down. But I really like the EFT because it's really fast. Especially, there's a lot of newer hybrids of EFT, and that's one I'm going to show you right now. And then the one I'm actually working on as well is there's an art therapy one, which is really powerful. And I'm actually getting ready to do a little demo to my colleagues on that. And I need some more. You're only going to draw, like if you draw 4 pictures this size. So I need a few more pictures. So if anybody would like to have a free session, I'd be glad to do that as long as you let me use your pictures as just sort of for my presentation. And so my cards are out there, and you can email me. But with that one, we do a picture. You do a picture, and you don't even have to know what the problem is. And then we tap on it, and then you turn it over. You do the next picture, and then by the time you get to the end, there will have been a progression, and there's a resolution. It's just amazing to me. It's astounding how it works. And it's great with kids because you don't have to talk about the problem, and they don't sometimes know how to talk about it. Okay, so let's just do a little EFT tapping to see how we can change a feeling. So just think of something that is something you don't like. Not on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 is you don't feel it, 10 is strong as you can feel. You don't want to get a 10. I don't want to do a 10 today. 'Cause I can't stay here all day, just in case. But let's get like a 5. Either something you dread or something you don't like, you know, an icky feeling that you like to get rid of, or somebody that you're mad at, like maybe a politician or something like that. Or just see if you can get an icky feeling you don't like, rather get rid of. So raise your hand when you have it, if you're going to be doing this. That's okay if you're not. Okay. All right. So now that you have this feeling, just notice where it is in your body. Where is this feeling in your body? So I have people scan their body. You know, I'll say, just check inside your face, your head, see what's in there. Any tension, any cold, hot sensations, dizzy, numb. And then, so just move down into your neck and throat. Just notice any sensations, any tightening, anything in there. Just notice. And then just move down into your chest and just notice what's in there. Just look around and see what's in there. And then just down into your stomach. Notice anything that's in there. Good. All right. So now just notice the place where you're feeling it, and just put your hand on it or point to it. Be aware of where you feel it. I always feel stuff right here or here. When people are really happy and opened up, I find that they feel very opening in here. This is a feeling we don't want to have. So here it is. This is my feeling. So just notice your feeling and just make note of how strong it is. Well, how strong is this feeling? This disturbance, this sadness, this fear, this anger, this whatever the feeling is. So just note how strong it is. Like maybe it's a 7 or a 6 or it is whatever it is. Okay. So now we're going to tap on this feeling. So the first part of it is a tap here on the side of your hand. So let's tap together and I'll say it and then you say it after me, okay? So even though I have this feeling, say that, even though I have this feeling, I love and accept myself anyway. Even though I have this feeling, I'm okay right now. Even though I have this feeling, I'm safe here and now. Okay. So we're going to take a breath and let it go. The feeling may have already gone down a little bit, but we're going to tap on it. So I'm just going to take your 2 fingers. You're going to focus on the feeling and the tapping. So we're going to say, I release and let it go.
I release and let it go.
All these feelings.
All these feelings.
All sadnesses.
All sadnesses.
All fear.
All fear.
All frustration.
All frustration.
All shame.
All shame.
All resentment.
All resentment.
Under the eye, all resentments.
All resentment.
Everything that was said.
Everything that was said.
Under the nose now. Everything was not said.
Everything that was not said.
And everything else that has to do with this feeling.
And everything else that has to do with this feeling.
And then right here. Safe to let it go.
Safe to let it go.
Let it go now.
Let it go now.
So close your eyes for a moment. And just feel your body. Just let it settle in. Just notice. Now take a deep breath. And as you let it go, say peace. That's right, peace. And just think of a pleasant memory. And just let it go. So now go back into the memory and just notice what's left in there, into the feeling. So what's left in there. So how many people did the number go down? Just, and rate the number now compared to the way it was before we started. So how many people did it go down? Okay, great. So for anybody, did it not go down yet? Okay, that's good. All right, so now we're gonna go back in and we're gonna deal with the rest of it. So go back into whatever's left. And we're just gonna say, it's safe to let it go.
It's safe to let it go.
It's over now,
It's over now.
and I'm safe now.
And I'm safe now.
Safe to let it go.
Safe to let it go.
Just let it all go.
Just let it all go.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Take a breath. Let it go, say peace. That's right. And then just think of a pleasant memory. Just let it drift through. Now go back and see what's left in there. So, how many people have more than a 3 left? Nobody? So it's down, then it's really pretty much gone. Okay, then what I do when I'm working with this is I'll go in and I'll make it into a good memory. So as long as we've got the charge off of it, it's gone. So I'll have the person, if it's a memory that has people in it, or them, if it's an explicit memory, then I'll say, so who else is in this? Make a picture, and who else is in this? And it'll either be their face or it'll be someone else. So I'll say, okay, so look at your face back then. Just look at that person's face. And then we're gonna tap on it. Well, actually, we're not gonna do that. That's too complicated. So we just look at their face. I'm gonna do it this way now. This is like a shorter version. But, so look at her face. So what does she look like? What is she feeling? So usually she's not, maybe if she's not feeling happy, she's just feeling neutral. Then we wanna change that. So we wanna change the picture of her face, the her, me in this earlier movie. So I'll say, just think of a time when you felt happy, you felt loved, and you felt happy, you felt strong, competent. Someone admired you. So just feel all that love. Just allow yourself to take in all the love. And then just imagine sending it, just send it into her. Send it into her face. And notice how her body relaxes. Send her all the love. And so she starts to relax. So you send her the love. And then I might have you walk over to her and have her hug you, and you hug her. And you just take her into your body. Tell her you love her, and she'll always be there. She doesn't have to be alone. She's part of you now. So this is really good with inner child work. And so the inner child now is part of you. She lives in you. So the child should never have to be alone. So she never has to be alone again. And if it's another person, oftentimes it's another person you're mad at. You have to change the ending. So if you walk over to him, look at his face, and then they don't want to look usually, so we have to tap that down. You know, you don't want to look at their face. So we tap it. Okay, let it go, let it go, let the feeling go. Now you look at their face. So I want you to imagine them telling you something that was the opposite of what they would have told you. They come over and they whisper it in your ear, and you listen, and now you tell them something that was the opposite of what they expected. So we just change around, we change the whole thing around. We take on all the feeling, and then we send in love and forgiveness. And we go, I forgive myself. Let's do this. I forgive myself.
I forgive myself.
I forgive them. They had problems.
They had problems.
I had problems.
I had problems.
It's okay now.
It's okay.
I forgive myself.
Forgive yourself.
It's all over now.
It's all
Let it go. Okay, so then you exhale, and then you have a whole new memory. So I find that's really the fastest way to get rid of something. And it's not as dangerous as some of the other things that we do. Like, I don't think EMDR is really dangerous, but it can re-stimulate people if you don't use a lot of containment and a lot of resourcing. So you have to contain the problem and you have to resource before you start to get them really in a resource state, so they feel like going there. So, but for EFT, I find it's just really amazing. And I suggest that people just tap on everything. And once you do that, your whole life changes really, because you don't have any stress about it. It's really amazing. So, what about some questions or comments, or what was this like for you? How did it feel?
Very peaceful.
Uh-huh. Did it change the memory or the feeling?
Yes, it did.
If it didn't, we need to continue.
Well, you see, my memory is just helping my son escape. And I can just remember him telling me, "I don't believe, Mommy, I can do this on my own." You know, and I said, "Oh, you can, you're right."
So what were you feeling?
Well, just, doesn't want me to help him. I remember just, no, come on, David, you can do this. No, you're gonna ice skate this year.
What were you feeling like? What were you feeling then in your body when that was going on?
Oh, just frustrated.
Okay. So you were frustrated. How strong was that on a scale of 0 to 10? 2, 3, 4? Oh, okay. That didn't have very far to go, did it? Where did it go? After you tapped on it, did it change or no?
Well, I did a few rounds on the ice rink in downtown LA while I came back, and he's still, "Excuse me." And he just didn't want me to help him ice skate.
So how did you feel about that?
Well, I started skating backwards with him, and I'm skating backwards, and he's still, going on with that. Well, it wasn't okay.
You still weren't
But I
okay.
don't want him being a screaming meanie while I'm holding him and while he's trying to get the rhythm going. And because I did, I go, no, son, don't worry, love, come on, I got you right here, babe, come on. And he just, he didn't like it. He didn't, that's my only, I've never seen him so squirmy in my life.
So maybe you needed to tap on him. He was the problem, he was having the problem, right? And we do it we tap on our kids and we teach them. In fact, I'll teach a woman, and she'll say, "I was tapping last night," and my kid says, "What are you doing?" And so she teaches them how to do it, and they love it. They do it before they go to bed at night. And I have people that have come in and have had panic attacks, and I just say, "Well, so you tap preemptively." I say, "Well, the night before, you go to sleep every night. Go, even though I'm afraid I'm going to have a panic attack tomorrow, I love and accept myself."
And so the tapping does work with children as well?
Oh, yeah, children are great at it. Just like hypnosis, they go right in, they just, they don't have all these filters and all these defenses all built up. So, yeah, children love it. So I teach them this, or the parents teach them. And then when they get here, they go, and they do all this. It's really cute. And I teach them about the brain, and then I'll put an eye on here and an eye on there, and I'll put it up here. And I'll say, this goes right, right here in your forehead. This is your right brain, this is your left brain. And then they do it, and then they're looking at me, and they're doing that back at me. And they love it. And then, I say, your amygdala's here, your right amygdala. We just have to calm it down now. It's okay, let's just let it go. Let's let it calm down. And, yeah, kids are great. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so, I'm still confused.
Okay.
So is this actually releasing what the body's energy, the chi, or what is the principle behind it?
It's releasing the trauma because, it's tapping on the meridians.
Okay, all right.
And so, when they developed it, Gary Craig developed it, his theory was that that the problem or the bad feeling or whatever is an energy block, and this releases the blocks.
Okay.
And now this new guy that I use his work, Robert Smith, if you want to look at something amazing on YouTube, look up faster EFT. Just the word faster with EFT. And he's done like 700 videos. And every one of them, he is working with a person that came up from the audience that has an amazing, all kinds of traumas, everything you could imagine. And they go from like 10 to like 0, and it's just amazing. I'm actually studying with him now. He's combining EMDR with it. So that's, there are a lot of hybrid. So anyway, Gary Craig said that it's releasing the block in the energy system. Robert says that it is rearranging the memories in our brain. It's letting us let go of something, and then we can go in. It's releasing it. So it's like a pattern interrupt.
And there's no wrong way of doing it.
No, there's no wrong, and you don't have to, the only thing you have to do is feel it. You have to feel it, so you have to sometimes teach people how to do it. And then you feel the feeling and you feel the tapping at the same time. So that's really, you're kind of separating your brain into two things. And that's part of what makes it work. It's what makes EMDR work. It's alternate bilateral stimulation, and it kind of fits with this pendulation that the somatic experiencing. So it's all about spreading everything out, rearranging it, interrupting old patterns so that new things. And the thing is, when you release the negative, you don't have to bring up, the positive is already right there, it's waiting. So when you tap on a positive thing, it doesn't go away, it just gets stronger. So that just shows you that the body knows what is positive, and it goes there, really. It's there all the time before these other things got layered on you. So it's a lot of this stuff, they don't know really why it works exactly because they haven't proven it. Like EMDR, that's where you go back and forth, eye movement, here, you're here, here, you're there. They think that when you're here, it makes the right brain fire, and then you're here, left brain. So you're making the right brain, left brain communicate. And they think that this is what happens in REM sleep. So in REM sleep, that's where eyes go back and forth. And in REM sleep is when we work out problems that we can't work out consciously because they're too, they're too threatening. So that's why they believe, EMDR really works well too. That's why they believe it works. They think it's replicating what happens with REM sleep, when your body naturally processes. So all these things are just to get your body to naturally process the way it's supposed to.
Is there any client that it's not safe to do it on, any client type?
Which one? All of you?
Any.
I would say the tapping is safe, in my experience, on everybody. I never worry about that.
The EMDR?
EMDR, some people are afraid of it, and they kind of know they don't want to go there. So some people, I think it is a little, cautious, because if they're afraid of it and they have to really trust you and trust that, that this is going to work, or you're going to keep them safe, and at the end you have to close up. Just like saying, we're going to put this into a container, and you have to close it up, and you have to contain it really well. Yeah, I think EMDR is something that you have to be careful. Some people will just, they'll get re-traumatized, even though the literature doesn't say that. I've heard about it, and I'd be very careful. So I would use EFT, really, on anybody that I was worried about. Because I've never seen anybody go into a bad state with it.
And I've had clients who I've tried to help them find that place where they feel different than the trauma or the uncomfortable feeling, I guess.
Yeah.
And some of them say, nowhere in my body. I just feel it. So do I just continue to have them do this letting go type of thing? till it gets a little less, and then try to re-find a new place maybe where it feels different?
Mhm. Or you could just not even use that, because
Okay.
I think this is a much stronger.
Just continue letting go and seeing where that feels,
Yeah.
what the number is.
Tapping it, yeah, tapping it away, and then when you get to 0, you can go in and change all these things around, and it's just beautiful, you know, like their mother can say she loves them, you can have her
Wow.
see, you can see her telling you, because a memory is just something made up anyway,
Right.
and so we may as well make it up the way we want it to be useful. Uh-huh.
So when you've tapped away all of the negative feeling and you're in the process of replacing that, is the technique just what is the technique you use to replace it with
Okay.
energy?
The way Robert does it and the way I've learned it, and he just says, okay, so now look at, let's give me an example, just make up something. And I'll show you how he does it.
Make up something in a positive way, or?
Or make up something that you just tapped it away, and we want to go in and change the ending.
Helping my mother take her medicine.
Okay.
She hates it.
Okay.
And I hate it for her.
So did you tap on that, or can you?
I actually did, because I had to help her before I came here, so it was like,
Yeah.
you know.
Did it, so what happened with the emotion that you had? How did it do? What did it do?
You know, for me, it went away immediately, because the situation, if I had had it in the moment, maybe I'll try it next time it's time to give her the next dose.
Yeah.
To tap on it and have her tap as well. But it went away quite quickly, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times when you just do the first part, which says, even though I have this feeling, I love and accept myself, I'm
Mhm.
safe now,
Mhm.
okay? That takes a lot of it off.
Okay.
Because when you accept something, you know, it doesn't push against you. Only when you accept something can it change, right?
Mhm.
So, okay, so back to your memory. So, okay, so how would you like to change that picture? You're there with your mother, right?
Mm-hmm. How would I like to change the
Uh-huh.
picture? Have a nurse come in and do it.
Okay. That's good.
That's how I'd like to change that picture.
Okay, good. So I want you to imagine that.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
you got it?
Mm-hmm. Got it.
So how does that feel?
It feels possible and it feels good.
Okay. So what would stop you from doing that?
Well, just resources, finding the resources to make it happen.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, so we could go into working, you know, as she, Jack, we could change it all around, but yeah, that's basically,
So it's putting an action to it.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And imagining how you would like it to be.
Okay.
A lot of times in EMDR, when we're doing childhood trauma and stuff, it's really amazing what the imagination can do. I'll just say, I just learned this new protocol where you say, we're doing body memory, so we're doing, you know, the first 3 years or 4 years. And so we're just tapping on them, or we're going like that. And in EMDR we tap too, so it's easier than going like this sometimes.
Mhm.
I have a machine that goes here and taps. So we're tapping on these early memories, and I've forgotten what I was going to say.
It's a childhood trauma.
New
Job.
protocol.
The new protocol, okay. Okay, the imagination, thank you. So they'll say, oh, I feel horrible in here, I feel scared. And so a lot of times they'll imagine stuff, you know. And they'll say, I heard my mother didn't want to have me, or didn't want to be pregnant. So I'll say, okay, so let's go into that. So just imagine what you needed, or how you needed it to be, or what you needed to do, or what you needed to have happen. And so you don't say anything else but that. Okay, so what did you need to do, and what did you need to have happen? And they'll say, well, I needed to, whatever. And I'll say, imagine that. And then we keep doing this thing. And they figure it out. I mean, it's great because I don't tell them, I don't know what they needed. But if you say, imagine what you needed or what you needed to do, and you just sit with that, it's amazing. They come up with it. And I never would have thought that'd be true, you know. It's just amazing. Yeah. So a lot of times I'll just say, well, imagine what you needed to have with that. And if you can't, if it doesn't come right now, you know, when you're asleep tonight, or when you're in the shower, or when you're driving, something will pop. And you'll see. You'll see what it is. We'll see what it is. Let's see.
Is this evidence-based?
Huh?
Has this been studied and researched?
EMDR has been researched just like amazingly.
What
It's-
about EFT, what's happening?
I don't know. I'm sure you can find it on the internet whether it has been or not. The EMDR was developed, it was tested with Vietnam veterans a lot. And so it's like approved as one of the approved therapies for PTSD by the APA, by the Veterans Administration, and a lot of different. And she's done, Francine just had a lot of research done on it. She's very smart, lots of research, tons of it. So that's what you need to get it, you know, approved. And, yeah,
Are there certain kinds of traumas that it works better for, or
Huh, I
I'm
don't
talking
know.
about the EFT?
EFT. Yeah, I just think it works on anything that I've ever done. Yeah. I think anything that you can feel. So you just have to feel it and feel the tapping. And you don't even have to, everybody taps differently. You don't have to have certain places. You just feel, you know, you'll get it. If you do this and you do that, and you have the intention of going in there and letting it go. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think just to practice EMDR, you have to be certified, right? And how long is that process? And is EFT similar to that process as EMDR, or is it different?
Well, it's a little different, because for EMDR, to get the training, you have to be in a program, in a health program. But you can get certified with one, I mean, not certified, but you can get trained with, I think, 1 or 2 weekends. But then if you want to get certified, you have to do a lot of supervision and yeah, cases and, you know. But yeah, you can start doing it just with a training. And it used to be really inexpensive. Now it's gotten like everything else, you know, it's like 20 million times more than when I took it in, you know, 1993. And the EFT, they want you to get certified, but you don't really have to, because they don't have, you know, they're not a licensing.
When Gary Craig temporarily retired, before he retired, it was free.
Really?
Yes. The entire thing. I've been getting the emails from them, from that organization for, I don't know, 7 years, 7 or 8 years. And when he retired, that's when they started charging for it. And then he came back and he reissued like his whole basic course for free again. You couldn't get it in the interim. I was fortunate, I had it on an old computer. I had it in a hard drive on an old computer, so I never lost it. But I was really glad when he reissued it, which was last year. So you can go back through their stuff in the archives and get it. So, but that's he's not a therapist. He's an engineer.
That's right.
How do you spell his name again?
CRAIG.
I'll give you his website. Emofree.com. EMOFRE.com. Yeah, Gary Craig. They give a lot, both EMDR and EFT, they give away tons of stuff free. I mean, they're very generous. Like this guy, Robert Smith, who does faster EFT. I mean, I watched his videos for 1.5 years and started doing it, learned how to do it, and I just do it.
Yeah, that's a great. I didn't even know about that resource.
You will
I gotta
love
check
it. I
that
mean,
out.
it's incredible. And now I'm training with him, but, you know, I think I learned most of it already. I just like being around him. He's an amazing guy.
There's actually an app on iPhone for EFT.
Really?
Yeah, it actually shows you how to do it too. So
Oh
you
my
can just
God.
work with
That's
What's it called?
great.
EFT.
It's
Yeah.
just called EFT?
Let me just actually to be exact.
So your clients are receptive to this, and
At first they think, I have one client that won't do it. But that's out of like, you know, I think maybe 1%. She thinks it's stupid. You know, she needs it, it's too bad. It's her loss. Yeah, I would say, well, you know, this looks really stupid at first, but just indulge me. It'll be worth it when you get this feeling just gone like that. Yeah.
What if you try it with a client and they say, I don't feel any different, I don't feel it?
Well, that's why I go from one to another. I usually end up with EFT if they don't feel it, and I've never had anybody not feel that. That's like my bottom line, you know, it pulls me out when I'm, what am I gonna do? Yeah, sometimes with the sensory motor, I think I don't get anywhere with them. Because I'm not Pat Ogden, I'm sure she knows how to do it much better than I do, but, you know, I can only do what I do. Yeah.
Have you ever heard Levine talk about how he got into it? Observing animals?
Yeah, the animals and the scene. Have you seen the movie with the animals?
I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard him speak on it.
It's amazing.
What movie?
He shows a movie in his trainings about how animals naturally shake off trauma. Yeah. And he shows that somebody shoots a bear or something, and the bear goes, you know, first of all, he freezes. There's fight, flight, and freeze, you know, so he freezes. And then he shakes it off, and then he comes back to life, you know. It's like we go through these phases, and these are just what naturally animals do. So that's why part of a lot of somatic therapies are about moving, because we're finishing an impulse that got stuck, you know, like if you have to freeze, because you don't want somebody to see you or shoot you or something. A lot of people get stuck in this, call it an incomplete impulse, so we make them move through that, and all kinds of stuff like that. But yeah, it's all body, it's all just animal stuff. And then I think we've gotten away from that with all this cortex, you know, thinking stuff. So we have to go back there and go back, bottom up. Yeah. So, but EFT, you can really learn it online. I mean, if you watch the videos on YouTube. And you don't have to be certified because they're not a license. You can do whatever you want.
Versus antidepressant medications or psychotropics, now they're advocating cardio exercise to, you know, reduce depression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it does apparently build new pathways in the brain. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true. It's all about moving stuff that's stuck, you know, and even if that's just a metaphor, it can help.
So is neurofeedback along these same lines?
Neuro-linguistic programming?
Is that
Oh, neurofeedback.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's like neurofeedback actually, in a way, because neurofeedback is like I'm trying to calm down this particular brainwave, and thinking about it actually calms it down. And when I can see on the screen that my thinking about it is calming it down, and that reinforces the thinking. But it's just kind of a loop, you know. Whereas with these therapies, we tap them away, and then they go down. And they say, wow, this is another loop. That's a reinforcing loop. So I'm going to do it again. Now it's gone. So it's kind of like that, you know, it's kind of like a feedback loop.
And then can you talk about the neuro-linguistic programming a little bit?
Yeah, I learned this before I was even a therapist, and I love it because there's the people, Bandler and Grender, who developed neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, they studied excellence. And so interestingly enough, they studied 3 people in the therapy field. They studied Virginia Satir, who's a world famous family therapist, Fritz Perls, who developed Gestalt therapy, and Milton Erickson, who developed Ericksonian therapy. He's also a psychiatrist. And so they just figure out the way you represent something in the brain and how to change it. So they study excellence, and they say, how do these people do what they do so well? And then they figured out these kind of programs or rules. And then they go in and they figure out how you're representing something in your mind. Because we're always working from how we're representing the world in our mind. We're never working from the world. you know. So they go in and they say, okay, you know, you're doing this, that, and that. And then they help you switch it around. So it's another change kind of a process. And that's how, I was talking about how at the end, after tapping this down, you can change the story. That's how, this faster EFT, that's how he does it. He uses NLP, so it's a little bit more elegant than what I'm saying. And you'll see that when you watch the videos. He's doing it in a precise way. He's not just saying change it. He sounds like he's saying change it, but he's doing it using some really powerful NLP principles. So, I'm going to have to go like in 5 minutes. So, anything else? And my cards are out there. If anybody wants one of my free art therapy sessions, I'd be glad to give it to you and show it to you. Good. Give me send me an email.
Do we make an appointment with you?
Yeah, sure. Make an appointment, and all you have to do is leave me the picture. And you can take a picture with it on your phone, but I need them. So that'll be my...
And you'd like the picture before we leave?
No, we're going to do it in the therapy session. That's part of the therapy.
Where's your office?
It's on San Vicente in Brentwood. So, yeah.
Any other questions, last, or any questions?
We spoke about EFT and, what other things again?
The other one, EMDR, the eye movement thing.
Okay, well, thank you so much.